There's this guy on YouTube, and this guy cracks me up so much. And I've never actually talked about this guy by name, but I feel like it's time to talk about this guy because he's earned it. This guy has made literally over 200 videos specifically attacking moi. And so you should get something for that. I mean, you should get some recognition when you've created that many. I mean, I appreciate this guy drawing so much attention to the truth. And so he's made literally 200 to 300 videos. I don't know the exact number. He's earned a pulpit mention. He's arrived. All right. So this guy, his name's Bryan Denlinger. Who's seen these videos? Aren't they a riot? So, Husky, whatever, the tag, 39XP, whatever. But anyway, this guy is a riot. I remember he made a video like 2 or 3 years ago, and he said, all right, everybody, this is my last video I'm making about Steven Anderson. And I kid you not, a week later, he started a whole nother series of videos about me that ended up being like 50 installments. Okay? So, I mean, this guy's addicted. I mean, this guy is making video after video. He's literally into the 200 to 300 range of videos specifically. Plus, I think even in a lot of the videos that aren't even about us, I think he just kind of will kind of just throw me out there as like a little illustration too. But anyway, this guy, what's so funny is that lately he's on this thing where he's making all these videos saying, Pastor Steven Anderson is a Jesuit. He's a secret Roman Catholic. So this guy is falsely accusing me of being a Roman Catholic, of all things. But one of the things that's funny about living in 2016 is the way people throw around false accusations so lightly with no evidence. There's no evidence presented. Hey, here's the smoking gun. Pastor Anderson's a Jesuit. He's a secret Roman Catholic that has infiltrated the independent Baptist movement. It's so ridiculous to accuse me of being that. But what's he basically saying? He's saying that I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm pretending to be an independent Baptist, but in reality, I'm secretly a Roman Catholic, a Jesuit spy. Now, here's my question. My question is, if I'm a Roman Catholic, if I'm a Jesuit, what am I accomplishing for the Roman Catholic Church is what I'd like to know. What have I done for them lately? Because, I was part of producing a major film, New World Order Bible Versions. It's a strongly anti-Catholic film. And it's been viewed about 1.5 million times. I'm not doing a very good job as a Jesuit Roman Catholic spy, I'm preaching sermons against Catholicism. I mean, After the Tribulation's been viewed about 13 million times. And it rips on Catholicism in that film. It's just, in the first few minutes, it talks about evil men are working round the clock to bring in new. It's like the Pope is on the screen while it says that, But I'm a Roman Catholic. So it's like, well, who do we trust? Who do we believe? Do we believe Bryan Denlinger? Okay? Or do we believe Pastor Anderson, that he's not a Roman Catholic? All right. Of course, my mom's here. She knows I'm not Catholic. She raised me to be a Baptist. She brought me to the Baptist nursery when I was a baby, and she gave birth to me and kept me Baptist born and Baptist bred, and when I die, I'll be Baptist dead, But anyway, it's hilarious. But here's the question. How do we identify who's the false prophet here according to the Bible? Well, the Bible says the tree is known by its fruit. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. So if we wanted to check out Bryan Denlinger's fruit, I want to know, where do we show up to see that, is what I'd like to know. What's the address? Where do we show up to the church and see? Because supposedly Bryan Denlinger is this man of God, even though he just makes videos by himself talking into a camcorder. I don't even think he goes to church anywhere, to my knowledge. I don't think he's a part of any church. In fact, I've even heard him explicitly say, hey, Christians need to quit going to church buildings and just worship at home by themselves with the Lord. Just by yourself. Have a little talk with Jesus. But my question is, where do I show up? Where do I go to see a fruit inspection on Bryan Denlinger? Where are all the people that he's won unto Christ? Where are all his converts? I want to see them, and I want to do an inspection to figure out whether his fruit is rotten or not. Now, here's the thing. If people wanted to check me out and figure out whether I'm for real, well, all they have to do is come to 2714 West Southern Avenue, Tempe, Arizona, 85282, and they can come down here 3 times a week, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and they'll find a couple hundred people to talk to, many of whom were won to Christ through my preaching, through this church's ministry, many of whom were baptized with these hands right here. Or even if they can't make it all the way out to Arizona, we hold soul winning marathons all over the nation. They could have shown up in Atlanta where 125 people showed up, many of whom were won to Christ by this ministry. Many of them, probably half of them, a lot of them. And they can see the souls being saved, the people being baptized. And not only that, they can talk to those people and do a fruit inspection and figure out what they actually believe and find out that they're actually doctrinally sound. And anybody who shows up at Faithful Word Baptist Church Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night and walks around and talks to the people around this room will realize that the people that are in this building are doctrinally sound. They are rooted and grounded in the faith. The average church member, not talking about the pastor, not talking about the deacon, the average church member in this church has read the Bible cover to cover, knows doctrine on salvation very well, and is a productive soul winner themselves. I mean, that's just the truth. That's your average church member. You know, I'd be more than happy for this fruit to be inspected. Now, do we sometimes have bozos in our church and false teachers? Well, yeah, the Bible always talks about weirdos infiltrating and false prophets and so forth. But the vast majority of people that are here can show you this church is the real deal. Anybody who's been here knows that. Anybody who's been to our soul winning marathons and just talks to the people, and by the way, they're physically, this isn't a chat room. I'm talking about flesh and blood. I remember when I was a kid, they had this commercial on TV on the Nickelodeon channel when I was a kid. They said, it's beyond virtual reality. It's beyond any video game. It's actual reality. You know, you go out and it showed a kid going outside and he's bouncing a basketball. You actually feel the ball. You actually feel the air blowing. It's so real. I mean, you'll swear it's real because it is real. I'm talking about you can actually show up and there's 250 people that actually believe and know and love and practice the Bible. And they're right here. Come look at them. Amen. Come talk to them. You can show up in Atlanta, Georgia, Portland, Oregon, San Antonio, Texas. And by the way, I'm not saying we're not the only legitimate church. Other great churches. Show up at Verity Baptist Church where my mother is a member. Show up at Steadfast Baptist Church. Show up at Word of Truth Baptist Church. Show up and talk to people and you'll see that the fruit is good fruit. It's good people. Right. Doctrinally sound. Because people will say, well, just because your church grew or just because you're multiplying, so does Joel Osteen. Yeah, but if we went to Joel Osteen's church, we'd find some fruits, all right. But it wouldn't be the kind of fruit that we're looking for, Some fruit cakes. Some tutti fruity dudes that aren't, Yeah. I mean, think about it. You know and I know. And by the way, one of the great things about going soul winning, you learn about all the churches in your area, don't you? Those of you who go in Gilbert, you know the Gilbert churches. Because you'll knock the doors of like 20 people from that church and they're all saved. And then you're thinking to yourself, okay, this church must be a pretty good church because I keep knocking doors of people from that church and they're all giving me the right answer, that they're saved. But then there'll be another church, and it could even be Baptist, where everybody from that church is giving you the wrong answer. Everybody's telling you it's works. Everybody's telling you can lose your salvation. What does that tell you about the tree? See, you're testing the fruit right there. When you go soul winning and you're talking to the people from these churches and they're all showing corruption, that tells you that's a rotten tree. Or it tells you that it's a good tree. And honestly, I'll say this. Every time I go out soul winning, I always run into somebody who's already saved. Isn't that the truth? Virtually every, if not 2 or 3 people. I mean, there's a lot of people that are saved in this world, and especially in the United States of America. I mean, when I go soul winning, I virtually never go out without running into somebody that says it's all by faith, you can't lose your salvation, you know, that knows for sure that they're safe. And that gives you a feel for what these various religions and churches and pastors are teaching, because you check out the fruit. It's impossible to check out this Denlinger's fruit. He doesn't have any. There's nothing there. There's nobody there. It's him. And okay, his wife comes on sometimes and they put on funny outfits and everything. But the point is, you know, you can't show up at most of these places. There's no evidence. It's just, we're just supposed to take their word for it. Oh, believe me, there's a lot of fruit from this ministry. You know, and by the way, we're not talking about clicks and likes and cyber chats and friends. You know, and look, those are real people. I get that. But you know what? We don't really know some of them because we've never met them or anything, right? It's kind of a difference when you're standing in front of a flesh and blood human being. I know that, you know, a lot of people are starting to not understand the difference between real life and that which is online. But there is a difference, right? And look, I'm all for having an online ministry. Look, our church, we're streaming right now. We have 3 different live streams right now. We're streaming this sermon is being streamed to YouTube and 2 different Facebook channels right now, simultaneously, because the 3-fold cord is not quickly broken. All right? This sermon's getting out, one by hook or by crook, you know. But the point is that I'm all for internet ministry because, like I said the other day, I think the internet is like the printing press of the 21st century. It's a revolutionary tool to get information out and to get the gospel out and to get the Word of God and sound doctrine out. All for internet ministry. I'm talking about internet-only ministry. Internet-only preacher. Because here's the thing. If a ministry is reaching millions of people on the internet, right? But at least if there's a physical place we could go and actually do a sampling, check the fruit, well, that's going to assure you a lot more than some bozo that isn't even going to church. There's no physical place where we can go and do a fruit inspection of that fruit, Bryan Denlinger. And so this guy, you know what? He's earned it, folks, all right? So you say, why did you spend time talking about him? Because you know what? He deserves it. He's made hundreds of videos, and so it's time for me to give him the recognition that he deserves. But let's move on to something else. Go, if you would, to Proverbs chapter number 22. Proverbs chapter number 22. And again, the reason I bring that up, I'm not just trying to get on him. I'm not saying that this guy is real relevant to your life or anything. But the reason I bring it up, though, is because it's not just him. There's a lot of people like him. A lot. Tons. Some of them are like him where at least, I'll give him this, at least he's being honest and he's actually saying, hey, I don't go to church and neither should you. Some of these guys pretend that they're actually pastoring a real church. No service times. No physical address. You know, it's them and a buddy is what it really comes down to. You know, and by the way, you know, Bryan Denlinger has the gall to accuse me of being a Roman Catholic. I'm not a real Baptist. By the way, he came out with a video saying you can lose your salvation. That's not Baptist doctrine. I'll tell you this. Every single Baptist church in the state of Arizona, to my knowledge, all believe in the eternal security of the believer, no matter how liberal they are. Even if it's a Southern Baptist, they'll still say, hey, eternal security of the believer. I mean, I know there's some goofball Baptists in the South that think you can lose it. But every Baptist where I grew up in California and every Baptist where I live now in Arizona, they all believe in the eternal security of the believer. He said you can lose your salvation, and he said that I've lost my salvation because I spoke against the Jews. He literally said, you know, when you just go against the Jews, God will take away your salvation. And he said you can lose it. So who's the Baptist here?